we're going right ahead to our next panel. I'm hoping everyone are here. I'm just gonna make a quick check. And what we are going to discuss here is something that keeps on, it's a subject that we always talk about at DLD, and we call it new media. But this year it's a little different because the name of the panel is actually new media, old media. Is there any difference? We've kind of evolved with a discussion around media, and we're going to hear from some of the most interesting, brightest innovators in the field. So first and foremost, I'm going to invite our moderator over there, Oded Vardi, co-founder at TLV Media Lab. Yay, I want to hear you. What's going on? Are you too tired? It's the last session of the day, so just give it out. Hi, Oded. We have additional exciting panelists here, so please, Emma Lloyd, please join us. Emma is Group Director of Business Development and Strategic Partnerships at Sky. Emma, come to the stage. We love women in tech especially, so you can feel free to cheer for Emma. Hi, Emma. Next one up is Barak Berkovich, Director of Operations and Strategy at MIT Media Lab. Yay, Barak. Welcome aboard. Iwana Kowalska is the in charge of commercial partnerships at Dolby Laboratories. Hi, welcome. Next one up is Tom. Tom, I actually don't know how to pronounce your name, and you're Israeli. How do you say it? Pakis. Tom Pakis. What a cool name. He's the co-founder and COO of Playbuzz, which you probably all know. Welcome, Tom. Marcus Hartman is the Chief Data Officer of ProSiebensat. One. And we have Asaf Sagi, Commercial Lead Israel at Snap Inc. Welcome, Asaf. And do we have Itai with us? Oded, is Itai joining us? I don't see him here, so we are ready to go. We have enough. Thank you. Have a good panel.
So, any more mics, by the way? So, hi, good afternoon, everybody. Feel free now, after we had the Hong Kong Exodus, we have some available seats around here. You're welcome to come up front, come closer to us. Yeah, there, go. Yes, actually the AC is working much stronger here. Okay, great. These guys are my partners, so don't think everybody here is so polite as these guys. They kind of have to. So good afternoon, everybody. As you can see, we have a great list of panelists from very different places around the world and from very different companies around the media ecosystem. And as you can see by the title, we have a lot of question mark. The panel name is Old Media, New Media. Is there a difference anymore? And we hope maybe to get some answers here. And we don't think anybody can predict the future, so maybe some will be remained as open questions. So let's go quickly and start a quick round of introductions between our panelists. I think if I do a quick math, I'll probably have to be selfish and keep this mic to myself, and every three will work on a mic. And if somebody doesn't pass the mic, you can just go and grab it by force, as we do in the Middle East. That was a joke. Okay, so we start from which part? Yeah, the audience, I need to go and spray some water in everybody. Everybody seems to be asleep. So where should we start? Asaf, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. Asaf Sagi, I'm the commercial lead of Snapchat in Israel. Our focus in Israel is on advertisers. Israel is a huge advertising market. Not too many people know. Israel for media buying is like Switzerland for banking. There are great consumer companies here, but also performance agencies, and we work with them. Just 2 words on Snap to break a few myths, people not necessarily aware. 188 million daily users, mostly in the US, France, England, Saudi Arabia, and the Nordics, a lot of other countries as well. Average age is 25. Only 18% are under 18. So it became a mature media platform, and we're doing very similar things to other players in that space.
Yeah, thank you. And before that, what was your last position?
I apologize. I used to work for Playbuzz, company that Oded is an investor and Tom is a co-founder.
Yeah, so as you will be able to see throughout the panel, Israel is a very small and tribal place, so you will see in many ways everybody is connected to everybody in some different ways. So Marcus, let's go to you. Tell us a little bit who you are, and if somebody in the audience doesn't know, what is ProSieben all about?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Good afternoon. So, my name is Markus Hartmann. I'm working for ProSieben. It's a German-speaking broadcaster based in Munich in Germany. And we have 3 main areas. It's broadcasting, production, and e-commerce. So the idea is really to combine all these different pillars from the consumer point of view. I'm Chief Data Officer there. That means I'm in charge of data and data science, building really the ecosystem, the digital foundation, really to combine data and technology across all the different propositions. And I'm doing this since March this year, so pretty new. Before, I'm not connected to any Israeli startup, but at least with the innovation, I'm running the innovation hub in Berlin for a pretty large company in Europe.
Yeah, you're not related to Israeli startups, but you do have some, the company does have some activity indirectly also in Israel in the innovation scene?
I just tried to save the story a little bit for later, right? But
okay. Okay, so I did a spoiler. Okay. 2.5 minutes into the panel, that's actually very good for me, relatively. Tom.
Hello, everyone. So I'm the COO and co-founder of Playbuzz. So a bit about Playbuzz. We're a storytelling platform that specializes in the science of engagement, how to grab user attention. We help brands and publishers tell their stories at scale. Today, I think, last time I checked, Playbuzz content is being consumed by 300 million users every month. Globally, we have offices around the world in Israel, Ukraine, London, US, Brazil, and backed up by some of the best investors in the industry, some of them Walt Disney Company, Oded here.
Yeah, me and Walt Disney in the same proportion, of course.
That's it.
Hi.
Hi, Ivona. Yes.
Hi. I'm Ivona Kowalska from Dolby. One question. Who of you have heard about Dolby? Thank you. So we are working with everyone in an ecosystem. Just to give some numbers, as the others mentioned. So Dolby technology is currently deployed in more than 1,600,000,000 TV sets globally.
That's a lot of TVs.
That's majority of them. Probably we could do a contest to find the TV set without Dolby inside. However, our success is based on our partners' success. So we partner with Hollywood studios, with cinema owners. For those who are Israeli here in the audience, Yes Planet, they have, you can experience Dolby Atmos object sound in their premium cinemas here. We work with broadcasters, as Sky and ProSieben, with anyone in the entire chain, making sure that the technology is used.
Yeah, great, and we'll ask some more questions about what's coming next soon. Barak, MIT Media Lab.
Right.
That means you must be at least above average intelligence, right?
Okay, so then that leads to the disclaimers. So I'm the Director of Operations and Strategy at the MIT Media Lab, which means I don't do research at all. I run the operations there. So when I speak here, I don't speak as a researcher of the Media Lab, but that has never stopped me from having an opinion, as there are people in the room who can testify. And I've worked quite a bit in advertising and media vehicles.
And also I can say that when we first met, that was after Barak successfully rolled out and sold his company, Omni Sky or OmniPoint?
Oh, wow, you're going back a long way.
Well, I'm older than...
OmniSky, yes, which was the first wireless ISP. But my last job was, I was CEO of Aviv, which is the intelligence inside of Amazon Alexa.
Yeah. Great, and right to you, last but not least, Emma Lloyd from Sky.
Thanks, Oded. So hopefully most of you know about Sky. So we're Europe's largest media company, 24 million customers. But what you perhaps don't know is that we have a team that focus on investing in startups. We've been doing this for about 6 years now. We've made 20 direct investments over the last 6 years. And they are in a range of companies that you would associate with media. So everything from VR through to ad tech, through to some new media formats, through to some disruptive, both ad-funded and subscription-funded direct-to-consumer companies. And as you'd expect, we have an office in San Francisco, and we have a Scout in New York, and we have offices, obviously, in Germany, Italy, and the UK, where we run our startups team from. But after coming out to Israel for the last couple of years, we felt that we were missing something in terms of tapping into the amazing ecosystem here. And we made an announcement this week that I'm very happy to say we're investing in Remagen Ventures.
Easy, can you raise your hand?
Easy.
This is Easy,
Big
founder
shout out for Easy.
of Remagen.
So we're really, really pleased to be part of that family and to start now to use that as a way that we can more systematically start to spend time here and to work with some of the amazing companies. We already have a fantastic experience in that Sky's been working with Playbuzz for quite some time. We were joking earlier that actually, whilst they work with our sports teams and our marketing teams, our internal comms team are now vociferously using Playbuzz. So yeah, lots of praise there for that particular startup.
Okay, excellent. So everybody here, I think, covers a bit different angle of the spectrum, and now we're in a festival which is all around innovation, and the media industry has definitely been disrupted. If we look just by a few key data points, so since last year, more money is going to online advertising than to TV advertising. That's one disruption. Another is the whole way we consume content, the different devices. The forms are shorter. The production value in some cases is much lower, and in some other cases higher than we've ever even dreamt of. And the older media or the incumbents have, of course, to adapt and change in order to survive and keep big. Younger companies need to find their angle to change that. So this will be more or less the focus of this next line of questioning. And now, not to bore the audience, we'll go the other way around. So we'll stay with Emma. I understand in Sky, and by the way, I can testify from my own experience that Sky is a very innovative and adaptive company, much more than you would expect a service provider and media company to be. And I understand there are now a few things that you're trying to innovate and kind of build your future on. If you can share a little bit about that.
Yes, so I think, Sky's always felt that if we're going to be disruptive, we should disrupt ourselves. And so I think we have quite a good track record of trying to really sort of stay ahead of the curve. We've consistently, obviously, had amazing internal teams, but increasingly we see partnerships with big technology companies, whether that might be Snap or Google, Apple, etc., but through to the relationships that we have with startups. And so one of the areas that we're particularly out there scouting for at the moment on the startup front is around AI. And we see that at Sky, we should be doing significantly more in that space, that everything through from the way that potentially we select the content that we are going to be creating from the Sky Original side, through to the way that we help customers have personal experiences for content discovery, through to customer services and the way that we have let's say 15,000 customer service agents at the moment. We believe that we can significantly transform that experience with AI. And then through to the back end, and we process thousands of hours of content a day in pretty expensive ways at the moment that again we believe can be transformed with some of that technology. So that's one example. Another is around the sort of engagement side. So Playbuzz, Spot IM, two Israeli companies that we're working with, particularly in Sky Sports. We know that a younger audience need to feel that they can be part of the conversation, and so it's really key that we keep finding ways to make Sky's content continuously relevant to that younger audience.
Great, and this really leads me to Barak, because we're hearing now a lot about how the data can help companies like Sky and every other company, and we have now ProSieben have a dedicated chief data officer. That means how important it is. But this doesn't come without a price or some risks. Maybe we won't tell anybody at MIT Media Lab, but we'll ask you maybe as somebody who works in an entity that researches it, so we'll appoint you as a researcher. And maybe you can give us a bit the academic, quote-unquote, point of view about all these risks.
Yeah, I think we all have started to understand that the issue of data and privacy is going to become a topic of top of mind for the next 5-10 years. And from the Media Lab point of view, we're dealing far more with issues about encryption, issues of how data might be shared without individual user data being exposed, like through blockchain encryption. I don't know if Guy's here, but we have a spin-out startup called Enigma, which is an Israeli startup that does encrypted databases. But over time, I think there's a real balancing act to be made, and that balancing act relates to a core issue, and that is, how do you give users great experience and yet not have access to users' data? And if you do have access to users' data, then how do you protect a user's privacy and the experience related to privacy? But something's going to give somewhere, and my fear is what's going to give is a very bad user experience around extraordinarily intrusive ads and extraordinarily badly focused advertising targeting.
Yeah, and actually this, we talked about it a little bit before the panel, so a lot of the regulations are not really compatible with the preferences of the users or the reality of how they use. I mean, European legislation was always a little bit stricter, so every time I would go into a European website, it will pop up the message saying the site use a cookie.
Why don't you ask everybody who wants to click that they know there are cookies on every website?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the next sentence. That guess what? I knew that site uses cookies, and I knew that I assume every site I will go to use cookies, and if it bothers me, I can block cookies. But still, the legislations allow it, so I have to make one more click. So getting back now to the discussion, back to Ivona, and
I would just to raise one question. We talk about the data collection, about the data mining, getting information about user experiences. For me, media and entertainment is the emotions, how you can captivate the public, how you make sure that you measure their engagement. Do you play with their emotions? And this is one of the things which we as Adobe see in the future in. So currently in the labs in San Francisco, we are trying to measure the different shades of a human interaction with a content and in a media that we are serving as a media companies. So for the future, I believe, yes, we need to collect the data, we need to protect the identities of a certain individuals, but we also need to have additional level of feedback information.
Yeah.
How much impactful is what we provide to the public?
Yeah, so let me ask you a question about that, because Dolby is known, at least to me and probably to the general public, as the company, like you mentioned, in Yes Planet, that makes the sound experience much better and definitely adds another emotional level to the content we're seeing. So we know you're in Yes Planet and 1.6 billion TV, is it? And these are all big devices and more high-end experience. But what is it going to be next? When are you going to see it in more devices or other types of content forms?
We believe that we start with a cinema, with a big Hollywood or Netflix production, but the entertainment should be and stay democratic. So it should be available to everyone. Whatever is the consumer choice, because they are voting. That's how we make money with advertisement, by generating the traffic to our services and be able to monetize on them. So we believe that whatever change is coming, we need to be a significant part of it. Therefore, TVs, I would say they stay as a primary screen. They are becoming bigger and better quality with a new video like Dolby Vision, with a better audio. However, more and more customers, especially consumers, young ones, they are moving to handheld devices.
Yeah.
And then guys like Snapchat, they are redefining the entertainment, the future of entertainment.
So in the future, you think we'll see Dolby-enabled Snapchat content?
That's not the question to me.
No, okay, but I mean, assuming...
But of course, we work with everyone.
Yeah, okay, great. And Tom, we're staying now in the line of innovation on one hand, and what next, maybe also in the data angle. Now, Playbuzz has a very unique proposition when it comes to data. Maybe you can share a couple of words about this and also say how we can either both leverage it for better experience and services, but also keeping in mind the risks of data abuse.
Okay, so first of all, I'm surprised to hear that Dolby and Playbuzz share a lot of the way they see the world, about how they measure engagement experiences. For me, by the way, seeing when I open the television, sometimes there is a Dolby sign. The moment I see it, I know it's going to look better. So I look and sound better. So you guys are doing something good. I think when you look at data, one of the problems today, so I'll half answer your question if you don't mind.
That's okay. You don't even have to answer my question at all. Just give a good answer, and people will forget already what I asked.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I think one of the problems is that we're not playing a fair game today. I think you have a few big platforms that are collecting all of the data, and we talked about privacy. So the moment the new GDPR, the new European regulations came into play, I opened my Facebook account. There was an option to allow them to collect the data and an option not to. I immediately clicked that I do not want to, but the app shut down. When I opened the app again, I got the same question. So I needed to answer yes. I think, and now they have my data, and of course they're very happy about it. I think that most of the people here do not have that privilege. I think we need to think from the get-go how to treat our users better and how to leverage data from a positive point to begin with in order to even get their consent to share the data with us. I think that data is mandatory. Everything we do at Playbuzz is data-based. Whatever the data shows us, that's what we follow. And everyone talks about personalization. I think that data is the key to personalization. It's pretty obvious. But what we do try to do at Playbuzz is actually, not as opposed, but the standard usage of data is to optimize who sees what. We at Playbuzz try to tell the story differently according to the user. So that's how we at Playbuzz leverage data. We hope that they do it in a respectful way to the users, because that's what we believe in.
Excellent, and this also, I think it's a nice transition to Marcus. As the chief data of ProSieben, I assume you have a tremendous amount of data sources that on one hand you have the opportunities that Tom mentioned, and maybe you can share a few others. On the other hand, you have all the risks related to data, in addition to the fact that in some elements you may have to fight about territory with other players that hold a lot of the data and want to be the ones that control the advertising world, more the technology companies. So if you can share a little bit how you're approaching all of that at a company like ProSieben.
I think you mentioned a couple of topics right now which we try to fix or to tackle at the moment, right? It's on the one hand side the change of the advertisement distribution channels. This is one challenge. The other challenge is, and this is probably the most important one, is getting the relevance in our consumers' life, right? Because if you're not relevant, nobody wants to use your or get your format and your content, and if nobody wants to use and see and view your content, you will never get a consumer consent, right? It's a chain, and the question is, and this is probably what the industry tried to tackle from the wrong direction. So if you look from the B2B point of view and talking about GDPR, e-privacy, and whatever, this, from my point of view, it's a wrong direction, right? You have to look from you have to really to come from the consumer point of view. If you produce relevant content at the relevant time for the relevant audience, then you're relevant in their life. And then you get your consent. And then GDPR, e-privacy is a side effect. Of course you have to collect this. This is the technical stuff. But on the end of the day, in the, let's say, in the variety of content today, in digital or linear TV, it's super important to address your audience with the right content. So that means you have to understand first your audience, personalized, of course. Cookies doesn't help. Cookies is an intermediary to tackle an intermediate problem, but it will never change. So it's a useless discussion. And the other side is you have to understand better your content itself. So what we are doing right now is we invest a lot of time, and this is our link also here to Israel and to all the startups. We just try to micro-analyze content. Yeah, the metadata are great, but metadata doesn't help you to link people to content. You have to be more precise. You have to understand, is sun, is rain in the movie, is it a positive and negative one, how many trees, how many daytimes, how many nights, because you want to be relevant for the consumer. And if a consumer is in a positive mode, you want to assemble a library which is completely hitting the interest in this moment. And this moment change from today to tomorrow. Okay? So you need two flexibilities. First, you have to understand, in the terms of personas, the everyday situation of a consumer. So you have to be very close on this side. And you have to understand very detailed your content to merge and marriage the two dimensions. That's the reason why we start a year ago in ProSieben really to think very deeply about how can we building this kind of bridges to have a full value chain and a value proposition which is good to combine consumer with linear TV, with advertising, with digital content and distribution channels, and solving or answering the question, how shall we produce next year the right movies? So what is the right content, right? And this is a very strong and deep question, I know this, but this is probably one of the key questions of the media industry right now, to be really relevant in the in the world of digital and G-sets.
So that's very interesting. So another way you're saying, unlike maybe the common theory about how media can be leveraged in data, it's not necessarily about what you would show me now in the next 2 minutes, but it's also what you would produce for me to watch in a few weeks or a few months. That's amazing. That's fascinating.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about AI, right? The whole week. AI. And then the end of the day, it's about prediction. And if you want to predict something, you need retro data which are strong enough to predict precisely. That's the game on the end of the day. That means you need a good testing environment, and you have a little bit an idea about how do you want to go, right? But this is the way how we see also AI or deep or machine learning stuff. On the end of the day, you have to predict what you want to produce and how do you want to distribute it. And that's the answer. But the difficult question is, of course, you need the raw data, right? And working with raw data is a very complex discipline. And I think the media industry will win or lose if we are unable really to give us the own answer how we want to utilize data cross channels.
Absolutely, and I have to say it's very fascinating. I have to agree, and I apologize to the audience that everybody has been in agreement so far. I know you came here to see more action and more discussion and fights, but I hope it's valuable to be to you guys as it is to me. And Asaf, to you. So the innovation, Snapchat or Snap is by definition innovator in the way we see content. Now, the biggest change I think we saw from Snapchat in the user experience is really making the whole concept or format of stories become what it is now. So this is content that is not necessarily produced by the big media companies, although sometimes it is, and it could be by a celebrity and a brand. It could be me or a teenage boy or girl. Now, so that's there, but what is the next step? How would you keep being a leader, an innovator in the way to deliver the content?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I think a few main things are happening. In our work with publishers, we work with hundreds of publishers who are on our CMS. We actually have deals in place for TV productions that are running on Snapchat. So we took the stories concept, and there are actually TV shows that are running with multiple episodes. Each one is built off separate snaps, short snaps, up to like 3.5 minutes per episode. So you can take TV linear content and running for those audiences. And what we learned, which was amazing to us and to our partners, is that those users consume the content on Snapchat. They develop brand identity with a relevant TV publisher, and then they go to the big screen and they consume the content there as well.
So it's like a promo channel for the big screen TV in a way, or can it actually replace? Can I watch Game of Thrones in 60 minutes on Snapchat, or is it just a bit too far?
You will have, there is a The Voice version, like a tailored version for vertical that is running on Snapchat, but it's not the same episodes as what you will see on TV. So the users are getting to know the main characters, and then they're going to the TV to watch it. So that's a big area of development. The other one, which is the future of the entire media industry, in our opinion, is the camera. The camera is an immersive medium that is not utilized well yet, and phones are getting stronger and stronger. And we're developing tools for users to communicate with each other using the environment around them. We're not done with the dog lenses. Like you will see much more happening in that space. And we believe that this is relevant also for publishers and for advertisers, just to use the camera and the user together in their experience.
Yeah, so and just to assess how is this affect, Emma, are you guys already on Snapchat or other platforms in the content side, or you have any plans on going there, or you see that as a competition?
So no, actually, we were a launch partner of Snapchat in the UK and in Germany. Obviously, Germany launching much later than the UK. We produce stories both on the sports and the news side, and we've been experimenting with various different formats. We work with all the tech platforms, so we have a very strong partnership with Facebook, we work on the Amplify program that Twitter run. So we see it both as a way of basically driving more ad revenue, but also importantly engaging with some customers that we see actually we can reach more efficiently and effectively on those platforms than we do solely on our own.
And the same question also to Marcus, the representative in another big media and content company. So you're known as a TV company or producer. What other platforms are you on today?
We recently announced a joint venture with Discovery, 7TV. This is our unique platform to distribute everything what we have linear, also in digital formats. That's a must, right? And how do you want to play it, and how do you want to sort it out, the linear versus the digital, the short clips, or the libraries and stuff like this, the catch-ups? It's a different question. But on the end of the day, you have to be present in multiple channels. That's for sure. You have just to think, and this is something what we're still figuring out, what is really the user flow. So especially if you look into the generation Z, the youngest run, how they really use and consume content. Is this just content, or is this a combination of content and commerce? Is this a content and commerce and advertising in one shot, or is this differently, right? I think we have a lot of theories and hypotheses in place. And what we are doing right now is we're building this kind of digital platform really to figuring out what is the right path to address really the right audience. I don't know if you're familiar with the German way how we see audiences, but especially the younger ones are in a bucket of too many people. So it's 14, 29, 40, right? The range is too big on the end of the day if you want to micromanage or micro-measure, not manage, but maybe also manage, but micro-measure the behavior. But I think, and this is what I'm saying earlier, we have to be closer to the viewer, really to understand their behavior, and then really to help them to consume at any time, at any point, through any device.
Yeah, and I think everybody on the panel shares this vision and this goal. Now, Tom, in Playbuzz, you're actually doing it in a bit because you engage a lot with the user while he's consuming the content, and you can get more insights both about the users and about maybe what else to present to them. Maybe you can share a few words about that.
Okay, so first, at Playbuzz, basically, all of what is created on the platform is distributed. So pretty much any platform that allows us to integrate with, we're there. And in general, we believe that instead of spending a lot of money bringing the users to us, you just need to spend a little bit sending the content to them. And then data comes into play, choosing the right content and everything. So at Playbuzz, users, a lot of our experiences from questions to interactions with the content, we collect all of this data. By the way, again, all of it anonymized and everything. And for us, it really helps us do these two things. So what I said earlier, make sure that the next experience is customized to the user. So if I know based on previous choices the user has made, I now know to almost build the right content for them, so the right experience. And the second, which is, I would say more the obvious, what most people do is select the right content to begin with. Now, when you deal with different platforms, it gets harder. That's why, by the way, I think it's very important for the world, I guess, to share data in a way that protects the user's privacy, but also allows us to create less closed gardens, open the world, and give that power to everyone, to new entrepreneurs, to new companies. Anyone who wants to build good experiences should have that power in their hands.
Yeah, that I think we all want, and we maybe, like John Lennon said, imagine there are no countries and everybody is living at once. But do you think it's a realistic goal to achieve? Everybody will open up their data for the better good. I wish that would be the case, but do you think it's realistic at all?
Better good always ties to commercial reasons, right? So I think if I'll have a commercial reason to share safely my data with others, and others would have the same reasoning as I do, I think we will be able to do that. I don't want to bring some blockchain technology that allows to do that. Right now, it's not very popular, this whole area, but I think there are ways, and I think we will see emerging new technologies that would allow to do that in a safe way.
And just to complete this round of question, Ivona, in a way, I assume you're less involved directly in the gathering data in this way, but your product is already in the many devices. Is there any added value or a mega effect that you can gain by being distributed all across so many devices around the world?
Well, Dolby is a standard, so we are almost everywhere. We are very proud of it, and with a great privilege comes even greater responsibility. Talking before that we look at how to measure emotions on the content, then we can only imagine what would be in the future. And I hope that in next 2 or 3 years we meet up on the stage again and would be able to talk about how to use the metadata to be even more precise with the communicating and measuring the content reach and an engagement of the customers. This is very important. However, for us, the primary mission is to make the most of it, of what is possible. So whenever, if it's $50 device, smartphone, or $8,000 TV set, we just make sure that the consumer gets the best possible quality achievable. That takes a lot of effort, also on the content production side. So we work a lot with our creators, with the technology sector, and this is our mission.
And great, and it's also the mission of all of us, because I think all of us have a device or a system or something with Dolby technology in it, and we want to get a better quality. We became spoiled and pampered, and we want on the cell phone to get the same quality that we get in the Yes Planet or the movie complex.
The challenge is that with all the streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, iTunes, and the others, they are faster to deliver those exceptional quality services, both in Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, the object-based audio. The question is, how do you address that challenge in a traditional broadcasting? So Sky was one of the first partners of us who introduced the Dolby Atmos in their UK-based operation, both for VOD, addressing this change in a consumer behavior. First was the linear broadcast, like a live TV shows or sports. But also recently the royal wedding was done in object-based audio. So we see that the traditional, sorry for that statement, broadcasters, they try to address the change. But then we have disruptors like Snapchat, who are able to deliver completely or define different way of entertainment in a snap. So where is the future? I don't know, but I see a big potential in measuring and getting more and more intelligence from the human behavior.
Excellent, and that's that part of innovation. So we have time for another quick round of questions now. Are there any entrepreneurs in the audience? Oh, it's a question? I meant question for me to the panelists, but you can feel free. Go ahead. Maybe your question is better than mine.
Thank you. I have an influencer media and marketing agency in China, and we work only on WeChat platform. And what we do is we work only with emotions. And we don't work with data because emotions are transitionary, they can be instantaneous, they can last a few minutes, a few hours, and our influencers just capture that emotion, and WeChat platform allows us to do e-commerce on the same platform instantly. So we believe that is the future, not data. And we believe that all this discussion that we are seeing about new media, data, content, artificial intelligence is just the large American monopolies struggling for survival, because data doesn't have future, emotions do. And I don't think you need big media companies to capture all the emotions all the time. I think human emotions and ability to express those emotions, which is our bloggers, writers, video producers, influencers, and a connection with the larger audience, any platform, something like WeChat, that does that makes all other platforms redundant.
Okay, thank you. So I understand it wasn't exactly a question, but I think we all agree to some parts about the subtext about the big monopolies. So now to my last question to the panelists, and this is more what you think is the next big thing. If you would start a company, or if there's an entrepreneur starting a company, where you think he would focus, and or what would be next? Asaf.
I think, okay. So I came from Playbuzz, which helps everyone produce content, editorial content, but also branded content. And I think that revolution is just at the beginning. I'm privileged to see the entire industry of advertisers on our platform, what they do and how consumers react to it. Emotion counts, not always. Some cases, like, people just don't care about credit cards, as emotional as you will be. And the key is for new startups to just help produce creative at scale for those ads. Why is it required right now? Here's a stat that everyone should know. Next year, there is going to be more inventory of ads on stories than within feed. So,
Seriously?
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
So Facebook, Twitter, us together, less feed, more stories. It was easy to create ads within feed. It's like a picture and a few words. It's more challenging to create vertical video and express something that is related to brand. And if I were Tom, I would have innovated that within Playbuzz or within another company. That's the next horizon.
Amazing. And Marcus, where would you think the next big thing will come, and what the next surprise?
You know, we have so many innovations at the moment on the table, right? I think it's a matter of executing on them, right? We are talking since a couple of months and years about new stuff, here a new app, here a new innovation, here a new IE machine or whatever. I think, at least in our territory, in the German-speaking market, it's more important really to focus on something and executing very professionally and rising really the best in class, let's say, a layer instead of doing all the time something new. I think we have great opportunities on the plate right now. And I think at least in Europe, the media industries should really focusing on finding solutions against the Googles and the Netflix and the Amazons. I think it's important really to translate the new trends somehow, but really working on this and really then connecting the most, let's say, relevant innovations in a smart way. And this will take time, to be honest.
Yeah, but this is still a very innovative approach that you'll say pretty much we'll take a few things, we'll hack them, and we'll see what's working best, and then we will focus on what's really bringing value, if I understand correctly.
It's conservative, right? I know this. It's not super, let's say, it's not a firework of I see millions of new things. That's true, we'll see millions of new things, yeah. But we need a filter who helps us really to take the best ideas, the best innovations, and turn this into tangible impact, and not just creating multiple things just in a new, different way.
Excellent, great. And Tom, and then we'll complete this round. We're running out of time, so let's try to do it briefly. Where you see the next big thing or the untapped territory?
I'll say something subjective. So AI will do something with the heat because it's really hot all the time, and global warming maybe. But I think what I do right now, in a bit bizarre way, I really agree with you. It's all about emotion, but I like the fact that we use science and data to measure and look at it. There is cynical ways to do it, but I believe that if you do it right, it's great. I love what I do, capturing users' attention and entertaining them, and that's what I want to keep doing.
Great. I want also you to keep doing that, but I have very selfish reasons. Ivona.
Personally, I believe that we are facing the end of being distracted and being together in a restaurant with our phones. And this is already a trend among the very young people who say that it's not cool to be on the time on the social media. I believe that in a couple of years we will get back to those big events which are bringing society together, as a royal wedding or Eurovision or the sports event. And therefore, I think that the end of linear television is not there yet. I see that people will like to congregate together just to have the shared emotions. So I see the future there.
Yeah, by the way, I also agree, and I think the things that succeeded anyhow are the things that created emotion reaction from people. I agree with Tom that it's becoming a science and you can measure, you can learn a lot, but at the end of the day, it's what engages people, what attracts them, what invokes their emotional reaction. So I think maybe that's the kind of the high-level insight from this panel. Now, Barak, you see a lot of new things, and you have your critical way of seeing overhyped elements in the industry. What do you think we'll see soon?
Well, I mean, I think that as you look at the evolution of the Media Lab, you'll see that a lot of our philosophy is leaning towards new areas, AI, bio being the new digital, and the digitalization of life, particularly human life. But I want to go back to what I said before, because I said that the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have a conversation, an argument about privacy. And what I want to say is we're going to have exactly the wrong argument. Because the argument about privacy is going to become an argument about why every company has an excuse to keep their data to themselves. And the data, whether it's an instantiation of an emotion or it's an instantiation of a click, it doesn't matter. AIs are beings that eat data. They live, they breathe, they survive on data, and the person or the company with the data wins. And effectively, if we do not want a world full of big monopolies, we are going to find a way to share data, and we're not going to be talking about that because we're going to be talking about privacy and how to keep the data locked up. And if we keep the data locked up, I promise you, I can name the winners today.
Yeah, and again, I hope you're right, and this is what will happen, but sometimes I am a bit skeptical about human nature and the nature of big corporations. But I really hope you're right.
I'm not. I mean, that was a negative statement.
Yeah. Emma, please.
So yeah, very, very briefly, I think there's a huge amount of innovation that's still needed in this whole space of voice as an interface. So there's now millions of devices out there, including our own, where you can interact with voice, but there's so little sophistication for brands to take advantage of that, or advertisers. I think that there's going to be a lot of change still to come in leveraging voice as an interface.
Aha, okay. So I think these are all very interesting insights and a lot of food for thought for everyone. We ran out of time, but I want to say thanks to an amazing panel. Thank you to Asaf, Marcus, Tom, Ivona, Barak, and Emma. And all of you, we hope to see you later this evening in the happening in Rothschild and in the startups party at the drama bar after 9 p.m. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of your week.